Thanks a lot for the introduction. Uh, we are constrained for time. We've got 35 minutes. The topic is very, very exciting. I think that's in multiple conferences that I've also attended and spoken at. I think the criticality of technology versus human, right? The touch, the connect between the two. There's always a play between the two, that which one overpowers the other. And I think we've got a panel which is, we've got people from the call center, my colleagues from the call center technology, services, very interesting, and of course BFSI and now in consulting. I'd like to throw this open. Let me start with a question. And I think let's take the topic itself, humanizing technology. And I'd like to start with you, Sesh, right? Because you're at the front end, that's the first point of contact for a customer at a call center. Where do you see the connect between the two and the handoff between automation and the human interface in your line of business?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, and honored to be here. It's interesting to have humans in the topic over here because we all have been hearing a lot about AI, metaverse, and all that, but it's good to see humans. So we have come a long way in terms of technology, and I think Chaitanya sir have given us a very good brief about how we have grown. But over the recent years, we focused a lot on the technology in terms of a lot of IVRs and automation, the robots, the WhatsApp chatbot. But what we also need to think about and see is how they are connected to the staff that we are going to deliver the customer service. We focus a lot on the end customer experience. In terms of customer is the God, it's still the God, will always be the God. But at the same time, are we well equipped to give everything to our team to give that experience to the customers, right? In terms of managing a particular call, a customer calls up the IVR. There are multiple options in terms of IVR available. There are times wherein we not necessarily do directly to the call center agent, but the customer has to go through a lot of the IVR option. And at times his question would be as simple as that. For example, in my case, what kind of services do so-and-so campus offers? But what we are focusing on, how many programs NMIMS is offering. Why can't we directly skip to a call center agent and just talk about that these are the services that hostel is offering? So we have to keep options open for our customers. That's what I strongly feel. Automation is there, important to have a very good customer experience. And I think a couple of key points which were already mentioned by Raymond sir and Hari sir in the first session, that was a perfect start. We need to bow to the customers, but at the same time, I think we need to bow to the humans, the team that is working for us, so that we are training them and they are well equipped to handle the technology that we are going to offer to the customers. So I think that is one of the key factors that has been, there has been a lack of focus. That is where we really need to focus on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sesh. Chaitanya, I'd like to bring you in here because you're the one who supports, you're the backbone to organizations like all of us that we run. What have you seen in the last couple of years? Okay, let's not just restrict it to COVID, but let's take, say, 3 years prior, that are changes that you're seeing, because I think people's patience today, everything is right here, right now, immediate gratification that people want. In terms of technology, what are you seeing a change, even if subtle, that is either blending or distancing humans versus technology?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, sorry, you have to see me again. So, and I think that's the first time, Shesh, I mean, did you just call me Chaitanya, sir? Oh my God.
All right.
But yeah, coming to the question, see, as a technologist, right, I mean, I should actually say that, hey, remove the humans. Technology will take care of everything. That's what I'm aiming for, right? But we all know you can never replace humans. And the most important thing that we have realized, right, to the question that where should we hand off, right? To just think about it, it's actually very simple. If it's a repetitive task, let the technology handle it. Absolutely. Because the humans don't want to do repetitive tasks. We want change. We want new things. And humans are tuned to that. But if it's a repetitive task, let the technology handle it. If it's non-repetitive, then let the human handle it. What we have found is that, for example, sales processes, have mostly to be done by humans. Technology is not there yet. Whereas in support processes, but technology has replaced some aspects of humans. I think that is what I would say. Regarding the COVID question, I would say the biggest thing that has happened during the COVID, the technology piece, it would be adaptation to the cloud. Before that, it was all on-premise, and we could never get an entry into the bigger BFSI segment and all that as a cloud player. We launched in 2010, but almost 8 years, 9 years, it was very hard for us to get into a BFSI segment, for example. But with the pandemic, I mean, they were, everybody went to the cloud.
Supposed to.
Yeah, that is the biggest change I've seen.
Very interesting, Chaitanya. I was giving an example while we were prepping for our panel discussion. I happened to book tickets for my daughter for a travel from the US to India. And I did this on a website called kiwi.com. And I wanted to get an update on what's the status on her flight, etc. And I called in, connected to the IVRS. Pleasantly surprised. Kiwi.com, of course, is not an Indian company. It is I'm sure it is based in New Zealand, and I'm just going by that logic. And it asked me, please either type in or read out your, your reference number, which I did. And I was pleasantly surprised to get a response. While it may sound, hey, so what's the big deal, right? And we were talking. It was able to recognize Indian accent. Very critical. I mean, standard accents, I think all tech companies have struggled because of our dialects, the way we speak. For NLP and also Indian dialects to be able to pick the way we speak and give a response, I think that was outstanding and wonderful to see technology cutting through the clutter, making it that much easier for me. Interesting. Now I'd like to get Varkey on this topic. Varkey is, he's close to my heart because he represents service. Raymond, and I'll have Varkey speak more on that. And we were just talking, and I said, hey, very interesting to know. Raymond's it offers service, right? While there is the product you can buy, but to get it tailored to your requirement, how do they do that? How do they blend technology? How do they leverage that? Because that is repetitive sales. It generates repetitive sales for you. And I said, you must talk about that. And he said, hey, you know what, interestingly, and I was saying, hey, there's this lens company. He said, Lenskart. Yeah, I said that also. He said, very good. I'm wearing Raymond, and I bought my glasses from Lenskart. Very interesting. Both of these services offering to consumers. How do they blend in technology with the human touch? I think that's fascinating because you're it. That's what you do, right? Varkey, over to you.
Yes. Thanks so much. An honor to be here. So before I begin, let's all understand that we are Indians. And in India, Atithi Devo Bhava, right? And we believe that we need to offer the best to our consumers. I'll give you a small example as to how we decide on how much of technology to apply. And this is a very crude example. We have a gentleman in our office, we call him Kishore. Kishore ji haath ka chai banata hai, all right? And depending upon who comes to meet me, I will decide whether this person gets vending machine ki chai or Kishore ki chai, all right? So that's exactly how it happens. When we look at a consumer and how we bring in technology, we should look at which level of interaction is he with my brand. Is he just at the awareness or, just expressing his interest? At that point in time, maybe the chatbots, the IVR and all can actually help him out. But the moment he gets more and more integrated with my brand and asks questions, I need to have an assist, an agent who can actually help understand this person and respond. And further down, when he's actually into action and engaging very closely with the brand, like as Ajay just mentioned, if he's a customer who's coming to me repeatedly, I better know him. I better know what he wears. I better know what his measurements are. I better know what his design is that he prefers, the style that he prefers. So this is what I feel, that knowing your customer and accordingly utilizing technology would be the best fit for us to deliver satisfaction to the customer. So that's my bit. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Varkey. Harshit, why don't you give us your insights with your long and lustrous career across?
No, so Ajay, and thank you so much for having me here. Firstly, I think while all of them are talking more from a perspective that at what point in the journey for the customer should we have a handoff with technology or with humans, I think the other way to look at it is, and I think Varkey mentioned it, right? I mean, it is important for us to understand that when they are interacting, how do you want to engage with them? If you want to engage with them with things which are going to be very left brain centric, right? If I can say, which is going to be mundane, repetitive, a few options which you're going to give, you might as well do it with tech. But if you're going to get creative, if you are going to be, contrary to the point he's making, if you're going to be in awareness phase, I would want to show him warmth, right, which technology won't be able to show. If I want to show some bit of pep in my conversation, which technology will find it difficult to show, I think we should look at some of those interventions across the customer journey and then look at intervention of tech rather than we looking at it in terms of in which cycle of the journey we would want to have a tech or a human-based approach. So I think it got to be a blend of both is how I would put it.
So it's interesting, Harshit. So it is, you actually first map the customer journey, right? And then look at what tech can offer. So, and I think we should use the word tech as an enabler and not the one that defines what your strategy is,
level,
right?
Correct.
Because your strategy really is service at the end, and tech just helps you get it done quicker, faster, ubiquitous, available wherever you want it to be. On this, Chaitanya, coming to tech specifically, how do you see a blend between, say, technologies of today like artificial intelligence, etc., its logical and practical usage in tech? Since you are in this space, that how do you see a logical, it transcends interactions that you don't know whether it is a human talking to you or tech. I mean, that's a higher refined level of intelligence, which is personalized, as Varkey would say in his context, that I know what you need, but it need not be a human being. So how do I marry the two?
Yeah, that's a very valid point you bring up. I think in the movie industry, right, I mean, there is something known as the uncanny valley.
Come again? Sorry, I lost you.
Uncanny valley, they call it as. So if you look at it, right, I mean, if the special effects are so good that you can't differentiate between real or this thing, right, I mean, artificial, humans somehow feel that something is wrong. They don't know that it's not real, but they also know it's like an intuition that something is wrong. This is not real. I don't feel well. They call it as an uncanny valley or something they call it. I think the same thing applies here. I mean, if you want to, the goal I think shouldn't be that we should replace and try to cheat the customer into thinking that they're talking to a human. Nobody will win at that. I would rather say, upfront, if you can tell that, hey, you're speaking to a bot. I am Alexa, I'm a bot. Talk to me. Then the users also change. They talk properly, they know what to expect. And it's better to go that way rather than trying to completely replicate. And coming to that point, right, I mean, about how good are we right now? Especially AI, right? That's a very good example you brought up about the flight booking industry. And it's about how you design. See, he loved it because of the design and the prompt. There's a lot of thought that has gone into it. If they had asked him, what do you want to do? It would have failed. Completely, it would have failed. They completely directed.
Intuitive.
Intuitive. And because when you are on the phone, you respond to the prompt. You don't think of the whole world. But if I keep it open-ended, like, what do you want to do today? I want to eat idli. What are you going to respond? Right? I mean, you can't respond. There is no way you can have a prompt for that and training for that. But if you say that, can you please tell your number, reference number, then you'll respond to that. And there's a very important thing here. The number and yes, no take care of almost 80 to 85% of the responses of an IVR. If you can recognize yes and no and the 10 digits from the numbers, and that's where Google and all this have improved. Because they have a huge data set of these numbers and yes, no. But alphanumerics is a problem again. If you do something like, if my reference number is ABP7844, even humans can't get it. You have to ask, did you say B or P? Yeah. So you have to be very careful in the design. Then it works. And get this great feeling that the customer had. So I think that's where we need to think about.
It's very interesting, Chaitanya. I think you're right. And to all of us, I think we all are in this space. and I can't belabor the point, technology will not solve your problem. It's not meant to. It is not supposed to be to be used as an ROI model to reduce capital intensive call centers. So to say, I'm not taking away the job, I'm just saying it is not meant to do that.
I agree.
If you look at it, okay, what is the problem? And I love this context. What problem are you solving? If tech can help you, great. If it can't, then shift to human. I mean, that's the one single question that can help you answer, do I do tech, don't I do tech? As opposed to, okay, we are so competitive, and I keep quoting BFSI as an example, or telecom, that, oh, they have it, let's get it. In these conferences, you sit and talk about, okay, AI, chatbots, NLP, etc., etc. It is more a lovely word to use. Today's, in 2022, metaverse becomes a big conversation. Let's talk about all these high funda technologies. At the end, it is just what problem are you solving? And I think if it can, for example, a simple reference number. Somebody thought saying a reference number, numeric, great reference point, you can start, because that takes you at one level, I know who you are, identified. And your questions can flow from there. Sesh, for you, my question is, Indians, we still are a bit reluctant to use IVRS. We just want to cut through the chase and talk to a human being, which is why in Uber, and all of you all have used Uber, there is no human. And I, in fact, sitting on this forum with my colleague sometime back who represented Uber, and I told him, hey, I'm having a trouble, but I can't call a call center. So he says, no, Uber doesn't allow that. We don't need it. You can just, because it's AI-enabled chat, you can just put in your request, and if your taxi didn't come, the driver was rude, we just refund it to you. So I said, but I want to talk to somebody. He says, yeah, this is very Indian, right, that I need to talk to somebody. And he said, no, it's not required, but they eventually did. I mean, at some point they did bring it back. But this context is very Indian, that we want to talk to a human being. So how do you do this AI, chatbot, and, I'll tell you, and I'm a victim of that. When I call my bank, I by default know, just press 11113 or 11119, and I'm talking to the agent who wants to listen to what they're talking in between. I'm sure it happens to most of us. So Sesh, in yours, how do you, your whole purpose of putting an IVRS is to avoid transaction-based calls.
Yeah.
But how do you, especially in India?
So I think, and we were discussing in our pre-panel discussion, that I still feel that India is still not ready for this high-level IVR discussions or high-level IVR chatbot, wherein we try to get all our responses from an IVR. We still need that human touch. I'll give you a simple example of NMIMS itself. We offer more than 70 to 80 different programs and courses to the students across all over India and globally. So initially we had an IVR option when if you want to go for an undergraduate program, press 1. If you want to go for an MBA, press 2. If you want to go for engineering, press 3. And so on, so on. We have 6 to 7 options. It's like, why do we have so many options? In terms of what we've seen is most of the customers, they kind of wait to connect to an agent.
You're
instead
right.
of getting and selecting an option. So instead of doing that, why can't we just further filterize that IVR to our customers? For example, if you're looking for a postgraduate program, press 1. If you're looking for an undergraduate program, press 2, which means MBA is under a postgraduate program, right? So anyone doing an MBA would come to that. So that becomes very easy. Then we started getting calls under option 1. That, okay, this is looking for an MBA, and then lot of calls routed. Then I can route my calls to my counselor who is specifically designed to handle postgraduate program. So press 1, then we started getting those options. Press 2 undergraduate program, yes, I know that. But we really have to further filterize and take a lot of feedback from the customers. Based on those feedback, we have to further improvise our IVR options and then give it to the customers. Directly, just because there is a system, there is a technology, and you give a lot of like a buffet when you go to a 5-star of what to eat, what not to eat. No, it's not going to be that way. You really have to filterize that particular thing. For example, in my previous experience, when we were into booking train tickets, right? Let's have the first filter of, are you an existing customer or are you someone looking to booking a new ticket? That becomes like a first level filter for me, and directly I can transfer the call to a specific agent. But which route are you booking the tickets? No, but he is not ready to wait. No one has time today to wait on the IVR and spend that. You give specific information. For example, if you're looking to know if the tickets are available, press 1. Okay, that can help you with tickets availability. You can talk about for a very common journey like Mumbai to Delhi. It's a very common journey, one of the most used journey. Okay, you can put that availability in that IVR option. It is commonly used. People will use that. For that, they won't wait to come to an agent.
Interesting.
But, so we really have to, in India for now, we really have to look at the customer thought process. What is that he would want, like have an advanced level filter instead of, just giving all the categories at one particular go. So that personalization for a customer based on their inputs is very important right now, and that is where we need to connect the dots.
Interesting. Thanks, Sesh.
If I can just add a small anecdote, I loved this idea of he pressing 1113, right? I remember back in 2011, we also have a cloud telephony platform where people can build their own telephony solutions. I remember one startup actually did this, where for all major banks and all, they had known the IVRs. And if you subscribe to that service, they would dial 1119, and when the agent picks, they'll connect you.
Okay.
So the tech can be used both ways.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So, and they were so advanced that if the bank changes the IVR, they would change their thing. So it works both ways, I would say.
Wonderful. Varkey,
Yes.
in Raymond's, and you've spent, I think, more than 15 odd years in the same company. Give us an example of where you found Varkey, incidentally, is a marketing specialist who's also CX, and I think that's a perfect blend. Where did you see that there was appropriate use of tech in this kind of, in your product line, right?
Sure.
And how did you all deploy? Maybe just as an example, I think that would be terrific for the audience to understand from a practical use that you found this is how tech helped you, either solve a problem or enhance an experience.
Absolutely. So, as most of us know, Raymond actually, its bread and butter is fabric selling. And so when we sell the fabric, obviously it has to be tailored, to the customer's requirement. And we found that, there would be consumers who would be coming regularly to us, and, every time he comes to us, there is at least a half an hour period that he has to spend measuring himself. And then obviously is the, the time that he has to wait for the garment to be made. He has to come back for trials. So there was this particular thing where a customer felt that he has to at least spend 20 to 25 days to get one garment, whereas he could actually go to the store and pick up a ready-made apparel. So to solve this particular problem, what we did is that we tried analyzing who are our regular customers, okay? What are they actually buying from us? So there is, say suppose an example is, there is a gentleman who buys white shirts from us. What we did is we actually understood all his measurements. First and foremost, we started taking his measurements on a mobile device, okay? So we had an app that was created where we had all his measurements. From these measurements, we talked to a tech company called as Chokkareddy. They actually make, body diagrams, okay? They make the designs. So we actually had the entire data transferred. We had his design made, okay? So the next time when this gentleman approached us, we said, sir, all you have to do is just let us know what you require. We will have this shirt made and delivered to you. And this was purely because it was tech enabled, where we had his measurements, we had his designs available with us, we got the fabric, and that was delivered. So that was one way. So if I can understand my customer better, understand where he is exactly and what his need is, then I'm able to actually plug in this way and get
Sorry, I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here.
Sure.
This is, I'm that customer, and you've now got it down to a nicety, my measurements. But thanks to pandemic, I've put on weight, right?
Sure.
And now here's a very intelligent tech that says, Ajay, Nambiar, I know your specs, you're this size, you're a size A, for example.
Sure.
Right? And you say, hey, Mr. Nambiar, no problem, place your order and we'll deliver it to you. Now, suddenly it doesn't fit me. So now here's technology which has got information about me, but my dynamics may have changed. And specifically in what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Similar to eyewear, where my lens, my power may change.
Indeed.
So now the intelligence part of saying, okay, I need to refresh this data at what frequency.
Yes.
So maybe if you can
We
just
did
touch
that.
upon.
Yes, we did that. So that's a very valid point, and we did find a lot of such cases which was happening. So what we said is that, what was the date of the last order? And 3 months from that is where this would otherwise you'll have to refresh. So we would tell him that, sir, it's 3 months already, you will have to come to the store, or what we did is we actually had something, a program called as Home Assist, where our person, the tailor would go to his home, if he's a high value customer, get his measurements done, and then it's available with us. So
Very
that's what we
impressive.
did. So the
Very,
3-month break we brought in, especially after the pandemic.
Right.
Yes.
Because
Actually, tech is saying reduce your weight. Or maybe you should sign up with cult.fit and say,
Chaitanya,
Yes, yes.
but that doesn't help business because it
Indeed.
says, hey, I still want to sell it to you. Maybe I can sell it twice, right? Right now at whatever size you are, and then
You're
when
right,
you do
In fact,
actually-
I was going to suggest that maybe you can do a cross-sell with CureFit, saying that, you know what, given that your sizes
Absolutely.
have changed, why don't you opt for something?
That's an idea for Raymond's.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, post the pandemic, that was one of the ideas that we actually did. We wrote to all our consumers and saying that now that offices are starting, would you like to come back for getting your wardrobe refreshed again? And it worked. It worked a lot.
Wonderful. Harshit, anything from your personal experience?
So for us, and like you keep on citing the BFSI examples, right? I think for us, majority of the times when we use or we feel that the customer is using IVRS, like the way you are saying, is very inflow, right? As in the customer is seeking help. We have been using IVRS more for outflow as well, all the outbound calls, and we have seen a very typical behavior, right? As soon as you talk of a BFSI company name, as soon as you hear HDFC, you hear any bank name, you feel that it is a soliciting call and you would want to disconnect. What we tried doing, and this is more applicable when you have a relationship already established, right? You should call up and initiate with, you are an existing customer with us with this loan number. That typically is a very good hook for people to
Right.
say, you know what, this is important to me and not soliciting. And this is one of the ways for, like he was mentioning, right, for you to diverge the queue at a point and still make the customer feel valued. You wouldn't want to call an existing relationship customer for him to keep on abandoning your call and you not being able to reach them and you having to service it through some other channel like an SMS. So I think the way we apply technology and the context in which we apply is also very, very critical. So if it is need-based and a pull from customer, I might as well give a human option much, much earlier. If it is from my end, I might give a automated option before for people to understand, to schedule a call back if they are not in the right time to talk or frame of mind. And all of that can be done by way of technology first rather than a human calling and saying, sir, okay, I'll call you back. There you will waste quite a lot of human energies and cycles. So I think
I have on this question, I'd like to get Chaitanya on this because this is something as your customer I face using technology. When we do dial out our customers, typically if you're using a solution which is through Ozonetel or etc., the customer gets a landline number lookalike, right? And 70-80% don't answer that call. Now this is from me, my registered number. So of course you all have found it says, okay, the Bangalore numbers are closer to a like mobile number, but there is fatigue and customers, because I'm sure all of us, we look at a number and say, okay, it's an unknown number. Apple in fact has now created one where if you don't recognize the number, it will just silently let it ring and not disturb you. How do you crack that? Because the challenge is I want to actually reach out to my customer. It's an outbound call, I'm using technology, but to the customer he's saying, I don't recognize this number, so how does my relationship manager with a fixed number connect with the customer, leveraging technology, but I'm dialing out through a pool of numbers?
So I think, see, this is again a very specific Indian problem, I would say. If you look at it, right, actually in the US and stuff like that, I mean, if it comes from a landline number, they know it's a business and they're calling for some reason, and they pick it up. Actually, they don't prefer a mobile number there. I mean, it's like some unknown number suddenly comes up, they are afraid. Here, we prefer a mobile number rather than a landline number because we are assuming landline number. I think the businesses have messed up in trying to give a bad name.
No, sorry, just on this, Chaitanya. I think the mobile number is, let's take a context.
Yeah.
If I've got a relationship manager, I have the relationship manager's mobile number.
Yeah.
Right? So that works very good on a one-to-one
Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
But if I have to do from, say, a call center and call out the customer to update him or her on something, it goes out through a pool of numbers.
Yes.
Now, to the customer, that number is not recorded, hence I don't know who it is.
Yes.
So that's a little bit of a dilemma that
Yeah.
how do you solve it, that your success rate of connect
Yeah.
can increase.
So I'll come to that. The reason we do, our telephony companies do mobile landline numbers is because again of regulation.
Right.
It's nothing to do with the technology, because if you have to do a mobile phone number, you have to have that KYC and all that SIM and all that. Other than that, there's nothing stopping from the businesses using a mobile number. That said, the clean solution that has come up because of this is something known as verified calls. And that's picking up. It's not there completely yet, especially with Android 10 and above. Google actually supports verified calls. There are third-party solutions like Truecaller.
Truecaller has got that.
Yeah, has also got that. So we have tied up with all these verified call service providers. So they have this option where when you make the call, you can say the context. And then that comes as a text, and I think Google is going a little bit step further where you can reply to the context and say that, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, call me back 10 minutes later, with just a click of a button.
Wonderful.
I would like to give a quick example on this. I personally prefer landline number than more than mobile number based on my experience, because the connect rate from a mobile number, mostly it's Bangalore based that we get, and when you call, specifically on Android users, it comes as spam, right? It comes at a red alert. No one would want to answer that call. So when we use IVR dialer, right, and we reach out to like 5,000 students for a particular program, our connect rate is only 20% or 25%. It does not. But recently what we have done when we onboarded Ozonetel on this, so we did a tie-up with Truecaller, and we took a landline number, right? Now NMIMS is based out of Mumbai. So we took a landline number from Mumbai, okay? And now that has been registered with Truecaller. So anyone who gets a call, instead of that a number, one or two numbers that is, it would mention be as SVKM, NMIMS deemed to be university student service. So immediately in last 2 weeks itself, it's a live example, my connect rate from 20% has gone up to 25%.
Excellent.
Right?
Yeah. Certified, verified by Truecaller.
Verified users for Android. And I think that would be further improvised based on what we collect the data from.
So I'd like to stop. I appreciate that, I think for want of time. We'd like to throw open if there are any questions from the audience. If you all have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. Any of, wonderful, great to hear. Can somebody please give a mic? Okay, all right, thanks.
Can you get the volume? Yeah. Ma'am, your name, designation, and if you can just quickly ask your question.
Hi, Meena here from Titan I+, and I handle customer experience. So my question is specifically to Varkey here. So I come from a similar organization as yours where we have bespoke products. So much of the problem with our product is the customer interaction starts when the problem begins. So is there any way to ensure that CX is a little preemptive and reduces the amount of time spent in solving problems after the experience has begun? Is there anything that we can do to reduce the number of reach outs that happen for a service that is provided?
So from our experience, so it is a common problem. From our experience, what we did is that we actually identified what are those concerns that are there, and we were able to actually reduce them by saying that, okay, this is a process to be followed if these concerns come up. That was one thing that we did. The second thing is that let's not hide away or run away from the fact that the value transaction that you have, okay, is high. Now, it's a very involved purchase. So for such customers, we have to reach out, we have to be in touch. And that's the only way to solve it. So my average ticket size is 7,500. This customer wants someone to speak to, and I will allow him that much of space. But I will identify what are the common concerns and try and automate that and have someone, resolve that faster, is how we could probably try it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Would you like to add, Ajay?
Yeah, just like, let me give it as a context of my experience and my recent experience. So one of my parents were unwell, and we, admitted in Apollo Hospital, and I'm taking Apollo as an example, and the experience was okay. I happen to, and I don't like going to hospitals, so I said, okay, let me try the Apollo app. I'm not selling Apollo app, thank you, but I just wanted to give, I just loved it, and I'll tell you why. To me, the whole tech versus human So I went and I said, okay, I had a problem with, say, a migraine issue. Apollo has on their app all their doctors and panel. You can choose specialty, and then you have doctors ranked basis patient ranking. Okay, so okay, I said great, and then you have it by price. So either by ranking or by price, and I said all right, I can afford to pay 500 for a consultation, and I was connected. So I fixed an appointment with the doctor in Visakhapatnam, Apollo Hospital. 7 o'clock in the morning, we had an appointment. We spoke. He said, okay, great. Can you send me a picture? Do this. It was done in 5 minutes. I said, okay, now I need my prescription. He said, all right, give me 2 minutes. And I was actually waiting for a scanned copy of a prescription to come. The prescription came on the Apollo app itself with a button at the bottom which says, place your order here. I clicked, place the order. I'm talking to a doctor in Visakhapatnam. The order gets placed. I'm based in Gurgaon. In a matter of 25 minutes, the medicines were at home. To me, outstanding. And I'll give the second example. The next time I place an order for a painkiller, and painkiller has to be done by prescription. I'm just talking of how technology and human interface has evolved, and this is phenomenal. It required a prescription. I didn't have a prescription. So automatically, I got a call from a doctor. Says, hey, you know what? You've just placed an order for a prescription medicine. I'm a doctor. What's your problem? So I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. He said, great. I'm approving the prescription. Now you can place the order and your medicine is delivered. Now to me, if you ask me, it has solved my problem. I haven't moved from my house, and I think this is close to all of us, because we always assume if you're sick, go to a hospital. Today you don't need to. To me, delivery of the perfect blend of technology and human interface, I couldn't find a better example, and I thought probably it's a great way to end the session to tell you that if you can look at how did Apollo solve the problem by leveraging their strength to make it so convenient for you that you can do it from home. And I'm sure Varkey would do the same. That can I do it from home? I think that to me is success in blending the two. So without much ado, I'll hand it back. Thank you so much to my fellow panelists.
Thank you.
It was a very engaging session. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a huge, huge round of applause. What a fantastic panel this has turned out to be.